I am Johnny from ultimatepapermache.com. I decided that I'm actually going to start doing different things, maybe on different days, maybe on the same day, and just have a lot of different projects going at the same time. So if this looks a little disconnected, that's why. But today I want to start on this project, and Giraffe here is going to help me. Every year I send maybe $20 or something to the Heifer Foundation, and this year I didn't do it. I kind of felt bad about that, and I kind of want to send them something now. But instead of just sending them enough so that they can buy someone like a pair of chickens or something, I thought maybe I could make them just a little bit more money if I made a sculpture, put it up for auction, and then send them whatever amount I actually get for the sculpture. I don't know what I will do, maybe put it on eBay or something. I don't know how that, I'll figure that out after I get the sculpture done. This is the pattern that I've come up with so far. I just drew it out on a piece of cardboard and then cut it out. This is the profile of a Boer goat. It's a goat from South Africa. Beautiful goats. I found some online. They're just amazing colors. These wonderful long ears. And they've got some really nice horns. Not really huge horns that would be difficult to ship, but some really nice looking horns. Now, why do I have Giraffe up here overlooking this process? Because I'm going to have the same problem with my goat that I had when I made Giraffe. I made him a long time ago, and he's always been one of my favorites. The big problem when I was making this is that the weight is not sitting straight up and down over the cylinder of his neck, so naturally he had a tendency to fall over on his nose. And I got around that by putting plaster on the base. So if I can get him up here, there's probably plaster that comes up to about here. And that's on the post that I originally wrote for this Giraffe. I'll put a link to it down below so you can see how that was done. So it's nice and heavy, just right down at the bottom, and there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with him tipping over. Because the goat's neck is not as long as the giraffe's, I can't make it just one long cylinder that goes all the way to the table because, you know, it's not a giraffe. It does have a long neck, but not that long. So I'm going to have to cut it off right at the shoulder. And that means that there's even less space on the table. Now, I know I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now, but I think what I'm going to start with is the head, move down with the sculpting, and by the time I get down to this point, I should have a really good idea of the shapes that I will need to create, hollow shapes that I'll need to create for the very bottom so that I'll have a place to put that plaster, because this is, you know, obviously not going to work. And I'm not going to put out the pattern of the Boer goat on my website because I do hope to sell her as a sculpture. So if you want to make one along with me, just go find a whole lot of photographs of goats. They're absolutely beautiful animals, and find some photographs where you can see them come right directly from the side so that you can get the profile.
Before I get started making my armature, I want to make sure that I really understand the basic shapes of the goat's head. When you look straight down at the top, in this case it would be right at the top of our cardboard pattern, what I see is a really wide shape at the back of the head, and then it comes down, goes in just a little bit, and then out again right around the lips and the nose. So right about the very front of the muzzle, you've got a little bit wider spot, very much wider at the back. And this is the section that actually is right next to the pattern. Then we've got a really strong bony protrusion that completely surrounds the eyes. If you see that on a skull, it's really obvious. And then you have the jawline that comes down towards the front and comes into the area where the lips are.
The ears start directly behind the boniness, which is up like this. So the ears come right here. This is actually the back of the jawline, and ears always start right where the jaw meets the rest of the skull on almost any mammal. So that's where those are going to start. The horns, of course, aren't right next to each other. They're separated a little bit. I'm just going to test this. This is just to give it a little bit of padding between the center and the horn. think that will work. I'm crumpling these very loosely so that I can change this if I decide that they need to be closer together. Just a little bit above, there we go. I think that's going to hold it at least until we get the rest of the shapes on there. I'm going to use this aluminum armature wire to go around the ears and hold them on. I think this will work, but I don't need that yet. We're going to do that almost last, I think. Next time I make a goat, I'll put the aluminum foil under the entire wire first, instead of sneaking it in underneath. I don't want to shape the lips or the nose right yet. I'm going to do that after I really know what's going on. So I'm just going to bring it up this far. You saw in the drawing that it was just a little bit wider here. I think I've got a good start on it now. I've only done the one side, so don't ignore that. But we do have the wider part here. It's going to come down. It's going to get wider here on the front of the muzzle. Then we'll add the eyes here. They'll stick out a lot. I think it's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and finish the other side. Now I need to put the eyes on there. And I have decided, after looking at a whole lot of photographs, that the eyes go right about here. I've taken my styrofoam ball and I've cut one edge off of it just so it'll be flat and it will be easy to glue on there. This bone has a slight downward slant, and that gives a little bit of a dip right here. And of course there's an eyeball in the way. If it looks like I'm just sort of sticking things on there at random, I kind of am. I'm just using it the way I would clay, putting the foil on. If it turns out that it's not in the right place or it's not enough or whatever, I'll just either take it off or add some more. Clay is much easier to use. But I didn't want to have to take it apart and put it back together again, which I would have to do if I used clay, because the clay would have to come out, and I just didn't want to do that. Then, of course, you'd end up with something hollow. You have to fill it. The most appropriate thing would be expanding foam. I don't have any, so... So I've got the bony parts coming out over the eye. The ear is going to be attached right here. and it will flow down this way. I think it's going to work. Need to fill this in just a little bit more to make the neck rounded, but still not stick out as much as this jawline. Fill in this part. They have such a strange shape for the face. It's really been fun. Just kind of analyzing that goat face and trying to see how it looks. So she's not at all done, but I think this is really going to be enough for today. I am going to put a link down below so that you can see some Boer goats and see how beautiful they are and kind of get an idea for the shapes that I'm putting on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other side on here. Then I'm going to let her sit for a day or two just to kind of think about her, analyze the shapes a little bit more. And then I will come back and I will show you what I'm doing and we'll finish up the face of the goat. And in the meantime, I want you to come visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. I'll see you there.